Listen, y'all know how the saying goes, right? What's understood doesn't have to be explained. Well, not in these instances and cases, bro. I need some explanations on what's going on. Check this out.
Unexplained phenomenon which occurred in, of all places,
insane. There's things like that.
There are definitely things in this world that we do not understand.
What is going on?
What am I seeing?
So what is it? The strange jump in the footage does point to some kind of time glitch, but whether it's caused by an alien force, a wormhole, or something else is unclear.
The eyes of the world today stunned by this image. This was debris from a meteor racing toward Earth, streaking across the sky there, crashing into the ground in those woods.
Just kind of like a fireball, I would say. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I've seen a lot of meteor showers, and at first I was initially thinking something along those lines, but it definitely was not.
When the sky splits open and strange objects start pouring down, you know the world's spinning in a bizarre direction. A shower of alien fragments, space junk, and even a couple of bamboozled animals. Get ready to witness the truly unexplainable.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my.
Imagine waking up with a bang. Literally. In 2023, New Jersey residents experienced a terrifying wake-up call when a meteorite fell in the neighborhood. Chaos ensued. Windows rattled, terrified children screamed, but thankfully, the picture was far worse than what actually happened. The meteorite, which had broken off a passing comet, ended up crashing right into the Jersey Shore, where it probably did do some damage, but was covered up by the sea. Boy, that was a close one. Later, scientists did end up recovering part of the meteorite, which weighed quite a lot and definitely impacted the seafloor.
See, I'm the type of person, I'd sleep through all of that. And preferably, too. I want to sleep through it. I don't want to deal with nothing like that at all.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Plain as day. First, the sky splits open with something blazing. But then you realize it's not a meteor, but an actual plane, burning and racing down to the ground. The Russian residents who captured this were pretty terrified, to say the least. But don't you worry, because the plane was empty. That's weird, right? Well, apparently the pilot lost control over it and decided to maneuver to a remote part so nobody would get hurt. He also ejected in time, so all there was left to do was for the plane to come tumbling down. Mystery visit. When the sky's dark and the atmosphere's grim, you can expect pretty much anything. But this? Yep, just as everything howled, something fell from the sky, hurtling at an amazing speed. It almost missed our eyes and would have gone unnoticed if it weren't for the guy checking out a slow-mo feature on his phone. Even though he quickly uploaded it, hoping to get some insight, there hasn't been any. What this thing is, whether it's something that popped off from the sky or something conjured up by Zeus himself, it's really just a strange mystery. Glow streak.
I've seen a lot of meteor showers, and at first I was initially thinking something along those lines, but it definitely was not.
You see something streaking the sky at midnight, you'd assume it's just a plane or something. But when it begins to move to the ground, with no way to identify what it is, that's when you know you're dealing with something remarkably strange. It didn't just happen in one place. Residents all over Milwaukee witnessed this unusual sight.
Just kind of like a fireball, I would say.
But no matter what explanation they tried to come up with, ranging from an alien invasion to just a balloon, they couldn't really find out what it was, especially because they couldn't figure out where it landed. It even made the news, but this strange floater's identity still remains a mystery.
Well, that's a question a lot of people have tonight, Carol. That bright glowing object seemed just to fall to the ground, but then some say it mysteriously reappeared right before their eyes.
The crazy part is the news. We're all running around trying to figure out what this is. Quiet from the government. Just quiet. Nobody addresses anything. That makes me mad.
Poopsicles.
Oh, here comes another one. Right on.
If there was ever a sign that the universe does not like you, it'd be this. Well, at least we now know why you should always take a warning sign for falling ice seriously. But how on earth does this happen? There's no way these giant icicles are dropping off of trees. Or a house. You'd think with the way they keep coming down, someone's deliberately chucking them from the sky. Speaking of, what if there really is a demigod up there throwing a tantrum? Now that would be crazy. But I've got another theory. Maybe there's a high-rise building which is letting loose. Either way, I know I wouldn't want to be out on a walk when this was going on.
Oh, good Lord. Oh.
Sky Streaker.
A large blue fireball seen streaking across the skies of Spain and Portugal.
Just a while ago in May 2024, people all over Spain and Portugal captured a spectacular comet breaking the Earth's surface and sprinting across the sky. Seen all over the countries, with numerous lucky enough to capture it in all its glory. The comet not only added a captivating charm, but also brought up serious concerns about safety as it finally burned up over the Atlantic Ocean.
I ain't gonna lie, I like to stand outside for the eclipse, but I'd much rather see this right here. A comet come through? Oh yeah. I'd take off the work from that for that to be able to see that. Oh, let me know when they can predict the next, if they can, but I know they probably can't. But yeah, I'd definitely be outside for that.
Why the concern? Well, this meteor was part of a passing comet, and although it quickly passed on, many were worried the comet could take a turn for the worse and end up colliding with Earth. But thankfully, it didn't. Whew, that's one apocalypse down. Spare parts.
Holy sh! I know, grab the dog.
Bloomfield residents experienced a shocking event when huge airplane parts rained down on them. Yes, you heard that right. The debris came from a United Airlines Boeing 777, whose right engine failed mid-flight from Denver to Honolulu. Thankfully, all 241 passengers on board landed safely. But on the ground, parks, lawns, and even rooftops were scattered with aircraft remnants. This video shows just how close some of them came to being hurt. But that's not the end of the story. This isn't the first time it happened. Boeing planes have built a certain reputation, especially within the same neighborhood.
Yeah, I think we should go. Yeah, let's go.
A plane view.
It's got a blown engine. Oh no!
If you're scared of planes, you might want to skip ahead, because this is a flight you won't want to take. As a United Airlines plane took flight, it ran into engine troubles. And what do you know? It decided to drop them right over a couple of neighborhoods in Broomfield, Colorado. As airplane debris ended up in mysterious spots, one giant part of the exterior narrowly missed a house, prompting the homeowners to naturally freak out and call for action. Turns out, the engine trouble did lead to a rocky landing, but everyone was safe, and it led to numerous homeowners rightfully suing for a big old bag of money.
It's got a blown engine. Oh no!
Grubs fall. Seeing multiple cars splattered with a sudden onslaught of worms is pretty disturbing to say the least. But it's much weirder than you think. This took place in 2023 in Liaoning, China, where things got so unexpectedly charged, the residents were warned by officials to stay inside. The crazy part is, no one really knows what caused this worm rain. The public freaked out because they believed this was the end of the world, especially since the government remained mum. Others thought it was some sort of a prank, or maybe even a secret government project. Sadly, we won't really know because nobody really looked into it. Well, that's not comforting at all.
Tell me how you gonna get me out my car and them things all over my car and I'm sitting on the inside? Tell me how you gonna get me out. No, bro, we gotta get comfortable. I'm getting comfortable in my car, fam. Nope,
Black Anomaly. In this unexpected series of events, a recorded video in Chihuahua, Mexico, shows how a flock of black birds shaped like a terrifying, huge, dark cloud slammed into the earth unexpectedly after falling to the ground. Some of the birds took flight again, while others stayed strewn across the ground, lifeless. You think that's strange? Birds don't usually fly like this. But the way this flock did, it looks like it's trying to escape some predator's clutches. But if there is a predator, where is it? And what? Because no ordinary falcon would cause such a panic. Is it a simple escape or something creepy? You decide. Laserith.
They're pushing the...
For a second, you'd think this is a sight straight from some sci-fi movie. But nope, a car really is falling from the sky. And that too, a Ford Laser. If I didn't know any better, I'd say this is proof there really is a whole world out there on the clouds. But as we know, this isn't Zeus's car losing control. And it's landing into the middle of a remote field with no signs of people or animals nearby wasn't a coincidence. It was deliberately thrown off from a plane passing over at about 14,000 feet. Why? Honestly, it was probably done as a fun experiment. But I wonder what they told the car insurance company. Meatballism.
Wait, ¿qué es meteorito? ¿Es un meteorito? ¿O qué es?
In Peru, residents were startled by giant objects hurtling towards them from the sky, prompting theories of an alien invasion. Naturally, these mysterious metallic spheres caused quite the scare, as people had no idea what they were, or why they had suddenly started to pour down. It was later discovered that the objects were parts of a spacecraft that had launched from Earth. Weighing nearly 250 kilograms each, these spheres fortunately landed far from any people. But we can imagine what would have happened if they hadn't. But you know what's weirder? It wasn't the first time this happened, and I get the feeling it's not gonna be the last.
Es un meteorito. Es un meteorito. Oh, no, es un meteorito. Es un meteorito.
Indonesian mystery. Plane parts, space rockets, heck, even animals pelting down. You could come up with a great explanation, but the longer you watch this, the more you realize there's really no good way to explain what's going on here. This mysterious object was observed slowly cascading down into the ocean, naturally prompting authorities to wonder what's going on. But this is where things get weirder. Even though they investigated, they didn't find anything. Not a single sign of some sort of space debris. Since the government is clueless on this one, we're left to wonder if this could be some sort of hint to alien life. Fire in the hole.
Are those fireworks? What is that?
You see one hot stone taking over the airspace, you think, fine, it's Mother Nature at work. But seeing multiple of them without any explanation, yeah, that's a sign that we're all headed into a direction nobody wants. This happened a couple of years ago in Milwaukee, and even newscasters were left confused. It's not just these fireballs appearing out of nowhere. Only a few of them were reported to have crashed on land, but when locals went out to investigate, they found nothing, not even big craters. If that wasn't weird enough, the ones still up in the sky disappeared after a while. That's pretty unusual for a regular meteor shower, too.
I mean, I don't even know where to even begin trying to figure out what that is. Like a bunch of little gnats or mosquitoes or bugs flying around, some type of light, but there's no light up there. So what is going on here? What could this possibly be? And why is it happening?
If we can even call this that.
Aliens? I don't know.
The heck
What is that?
Bulgarian terror. As hundreds of residents in Sofia, Bulgaria dozed off, the sky turned bright for a few seconds. A giant glowing orb suddenly fell from the sky, turning the night into day. Captured by multiple home cameras, the green orb was a meteorite. Thankfully small, since if it were any larger, it probably would have wreaked a lot of havoc. Even luckier were the residents who came close enough to capture the meteorite, but not so close to see where it ended up. In a remote part of the city, exploding just seconds before it hit the ground. Droning down. Keep your heads covered. At this point, we can expect anything to fall from the sky. In China's Changshu, a high-tech zone, families and kids gathered, buzzing with excitement for a light show. But things took a crazy turn when drones started to drift down towards them out of the blue. Call it mismanagement or a rival company's tricks, but this caused total chaos, with people running for cover and trying to dodge the falling drones. The happy news is that no one got hurt in this incident, but it could have taken a serious turn. And why it happened has yet to be investigated. Arachno dance. Spiders falling from the sky? That sounds like every arachnophobe's worst nightmare. Recently, residents in Santo Antonio da Platina, southern Brazil, experienced an astonishing spectacle. A rain of spiders, where a bunch of eight-legged critters got together to hunt for their lunch. This bizarre event left onlookers both astonished and bewildered, with many scrambling for umbrellas to shield themselves from the unexpected spider fall.
See, now this is when you need one of those big forest fires that is hard to put out. This is when you ever thought about, like, why do we get, this is a good reason to have one of those so they can burn up all of these little jokers, fam.
If you are wondering what the reason was behind it, it's because of the hot, humid weather. The spiders deliberately form chains of webs to make catching their prey easier. Something fishy. Crazy things not only happen in Australia. This time, it's Texas that's in for a surprise. Check out this footage of a fish rain that left onlookers shocked and mystified. The little creatures fallen from the sky splashed onto streets, driveways, and yards, leaving the passers-by in awe. The Texans were left in shock at the bizarre event, much like the Australians in 2010 who witnessed the same happening. But how does this happen? Well, storms carry flightless aquatic creatures up to several miles and make it possible for it to rain fish and frogs, if not cats and dogs. It's pretty unusual and was definitely the talk of the town for days. Poopsicle. What would you do if you stored something in your house thinking it's very precious, but it turns out to be a very large size, well, the people of Fazilpur Bodli, India, were left in shock when they saw a 20-pound yellowish-brown object that had struck their village, forming a 1-foot deep hole. The people became ecstatic, believing they'd found a valuable meteorite, and some even preserved them in their refrigerators. But their excitement turned into disgust when scientists revealed that this meteorite was in fact a frozen mixture of feces that had fallen from a passing aircraft. Well, not everything that glistens is made of gold. Sometimes it's just a feces fudge. Birds of prey. Almost a decade ago, Americans witnessed something strange. Hundreds of birds mysteriously and lifelessly dropping to the ground. While the authorities were still trying to figure out what was going on,
no starling apparent, no starling apparent in the fields on either side, which is very strange.
The same thing took place in Sweden too, thousands of miles away. This happening to different species of birds around the same time, and that too across continents. The whole incident's just too strange and eerie. While scientists continued to grapple with the mystery, people had their own suspicions regarding the matter. Rumors of a conspiracy grew, with some thinking it was a plot to distract us from something far more serious. Jelly balls. West Virginia witnessed the fall of jelly-like round blobs from the sky following a hailstorm, after which locals were left scratching their heads in confusion. What could these blobs be? One interesting theory suggests that these actually were naturally existing substances like fungi that grew naturally, while others continue to think that this is something else, adding more to the mystery. Are these blobs a sign of climate change, or is nature trying to tell us something else? Let us know what you think. Instant money glitch. Out of all the bizarre and freaky kinds of falls we've seen so far, this one could be our personal favorite. In a bustling city of China, people had their lucky day as the air suddenly got filled with banknotes. Yeah, a huge money rain. One that called for pockets and wallets, not umbrellas. All thanks to the good-for-public man, Mr. Key, who spaced out and decided to throw the money off from his 30-story balcony. While he did make everyone's day and unintentionally pay people's bills, authorities did detain him because having so much money and then trying to get rid of it is definitely suspicious. The Goldsmith. Get ready for an incident out of your imagination. A cargo plane in Yakutsk, Russia had a strange accident that took everyone by surprise. We're talking about a golden mishap that occurred when the door of a plane flew open, dispersing over 3 tons of precious gold, platinum, and diamonds all on the way, and in the public's easy access. While the staff raced and eventually retrieved 172 gold ingots, the people, on the other hand, had an open chance to embark on a real treasure hunt to get their hands on that gold.
So if they telling us they retrieved 170 or whatever it was, that means it was really probably about 300 out there, and they kept a lot of that for themselves. You know what I mean? I know how it works, bro. I know. Tell us one number, but it was really a higher number. I get it. I know it.
Sky carps fall. What will your reaction be if you saw a dozen lifeless creatures on your way to the parking lot? In a nature's first in Idaho, the storm didn't only bring mud and dust with it, but more than 100 geese as well. Some of them remained motionless on the ground, while the few luckily survived and flew off. But the question that comes to our mind is, how can something like this possibly happen? Well, investigators think these geese might have met a thunderous cloud, but it's just a theory. It's possible something stranger is going on, but the authorities are just trying to cover it up. Iguanot believe it.
Oh my God.
Floridians, watch out. When the temperature drops, our scaly little iguanas start falling off from the trees, and you might step over them while going for your daily walk. It might sound strange, almost comical, but this is what happens when these sun-loving critters meet the cold. They get stiff and immobilized, appearing almost lifeless. But the good news is that it's just for the time being. They mostly go back to normal. So if you ever see an iguana resting in your yard, put it at a safe distance and carry on with your day.
Yeah, because most of us would have did something else to it or killed it even more. So it's glad to tell us that, but that means they're just similar to alligators when they get cold and they slow their heart rate down and you look like they frozen and dead, but they not at all.
Oh my God.
Got a frozen lizard.
A riveting mystery. If frogs creep you out, you're gonna hate this one. But if you love them, well, guess what? Locals witnessed a toad party where hundreds of tiny and slimy dark frogs gathered by the edge of a lake in Okanagan. They seemed to be on a mission to find water or to hop to the other side of the shore, which explains why they ended up appearing out of nowhere in such a large number. I can imagine how perplexing it would have been to see this. But hey, at least we know this isn't some frog army ready to take over. Or is it? Finger licking good. Something weird occurred in Olympia Springs in 1876. A strange material resembling meat fell from the sky one day just over the farm owned by the Crouch family, who were taken aback and confused, and ended up calling over the neighbors, causing even more confusion. What could that be? Some thought it was just a prank, but a few were much more cautious and wondered if it was a hint to something far more sinister. The mystery was never solved, and it remains one of the weirdest question marks even today.
Everybody who has kids thought of the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, didn't y'all? Didn't y'all? If you don't have kids, then you might not understand. Maybe you got nieces and nephews, they made you watch that movie, but I know for sure my kids made me watch that movie a lot. So instantly what I thought. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Sparrow's demise. Imagine taking a walk in the park and suddenly stumbling upon hundreds of sparrows fallen down from the sky. It happened in Bali, Indonesia, and locals were left equally stumped, trying to figure out what caused it. Theories ranged from global warming to mysterious disease, but we've yet to know the real cause. It's even more suspicious that it happened to such a large number, and yet the officials haven't really done anything. Who knows if it's because they don't care, or if they're hiding something strange. Bat Mania. Only in Australia would you see something like this. Bats. Thousands of them all over the floor. This happened back in 2018, when temperatures soared to such a high degree that bats began to fall from the sky, unable to roost. It's not only strange, it's devastating. It happened to many bats, which fell to the ground as they took their final breath. In response, wildlife rescuers were unable to do much because they lacked resources, and weren't sure if the bats carried diseases or not. Sadly, not many bats survived that summer, but hopefully they'll quickly regain their numbers. Silver lining. You know the world's going in a different direction when clouds, literally the one thing that's supposed to stay in the sky, begin to descend downward. Honestly, if it were to happen right in front of me, I'd freak out a little and think the sky's falling, which is why so many people were sure this was a sign of the end times. But is that really the case? Of course not. We can all see the world still standing, although I can't really comment on the condition. Well, ultimately, we have to accept that some people would do anything to make a fool out of you. Spaced out.
I'm a big kid, because I'd stand out there and play with that all day. I'm just sitting there looking like, yeah, that's a good 4 or 5 hours out of my day right there, just playing with that.
Not a space junkie or anything like that. This is just what we found in our fields.
Elon Musk may boast about his rockets, but they're going to cut him a big fat check. Yep, one farmer in Saskatchewan was in the middle of weeding the fields when the earth vibrated. A loud bang followed, and he found himself staring at something burning on his farm. Initially terrified and thinking the world was coming down, he realized his field had actually welcomed a new crop, one that had supposedly broken off a SpaceX rocket that had flown over just a few months ago. Now the farmer plans on selling it and using the money for good while pocketing the change. And Elon, well, he's got some splaining to do.
It's sort of
Shutter shock. You know what's expensive? A newly bought GoPro camera slipping into nothingness and falling several thousand feet from the sky. But you know what's priceless? Getting footage like this. And the end is not what you'd expect. Yup, watch as the camera hurtles at a terrifying speed, losing its balance against the wind and moving toward an inevitable end. But does it really end up in a tragic way? Not always. First, we get a great moment of the camera's shutter rate syncing up with the spins. And then, bam! It lands with a thud, but remains surprisingly unbroken. And you'll know why. Yep, it landed in a sludge in a pigsty, blessing us with this adorable sight. Space junk. Chicken Little was right. The sky is falling. Well, I'm sure that's how residents in Florida felt when, out of nowhere, their homes were being wrecked by something that flew and crashed from above. Thankfully, and rather miraculously, no one was hurt, but they were left wondering what the heck had happened. Turns out, a piece of debris from the International Space Station ended up traveling all the way from nothingness to Florida. It's a good thing it went through the roof, since it absorbed most of the impact. And I can't say the homeowners complained too.
Then they're touching it and all that radiation and stuff that could be on it. You don't even know. That's why I say, man, we be so quick, and myself included. I gotta stop myself, pop myself on the hand. We gotta chill before we just walk up to something that we have no clue of where it came from. No.
Too much. I mean, they're definitely getting quite the insurance and severance payout soon. NATO. You won't believe what just happened. Mother Nature startled a few golf course employees when it decided to land a shark right on the grass. I know it sounds silly, but I'm not pulling your leg. It really did happen. As it flopped around and on the verge of passing away, the freaked out employees quickly took action, securing the shark and taking it away to safety, saving its life. But the question remains, how on earth did a shark end up in a random golf club? It's not Sharknado, but probably just an eagle dropping its prey. Musks Regret.
It's been super exciting to see this all up close. Look,
Elon Musk isn't gonna like this. While he thinks he's probably built the best spacecrafts, the statistics say otherwise. And well, he's in for a surprise, because after numerous reported incidents, there's yet another part of a SpaceX spacecraft that ejected itself from space and ended up in a remote field. That empty field's doing a lot of heavy lifting here too, because if it had landed just a few small coordinates on the wrong angle, Elon Musk would be responsible for a few hospital bills. As for the farmer whose field this debris pricked, he's probably strapped for retirement.
I've never seen a piece of space junk fall like this. This is an extremely rare event.
Purple Place.
Don't really know where it came from or what it is exactly.
When a homeowner in Cheektowaga woke up to quite the paint job, when his house, just recently draped in white, ended up with big blotches of some purple goo. At first, he assumed it was a neighborhood prank. You know, maybe the paintball version of getting TP'd. But the blobs were everywhere, even in the most unreachable places, so he knew something was amiss. It happened numerous times over the course of several days. But weirdly enough, he couldn't identify the culprits, as the splotches seemed to have fallen from the sky. Ultimately, he finally realized what it was. Blackberry. But one mixed with, well, excrement. All because of birds who were singling the poor homeowner out.
Nothing toxic or, harmful.
Triple bogey. On September 1st, 1969, a routine day in Florida took a bizarre turn, as hundreds of golf balls showered down, leaving the residents in shock. Lawns were suddenly filled with these unexpected projectiles, making the town look like a giant driving range. Local authorities were baffled by this strange event. Theories swirled, with one popular suggestion being that a passing storm had scooped up golf balls from a nearby pond and then released them over the town. While no definitive explanation was found, the golf ball downpour remains one of Florida's most unusual weather events.
I don't know how long we've been out here so far, but it's pretty good.
Space visitor. In 2021, a rural village in Maharashtra, India, experienced a bizarre event. As people prepared for a feast, a 40-kilogram disc, about 2 to 3 meters in diameter, came crashing down from the sky. As expected, it created quite a big impact, literally carving a path onto the field and clearing it. Thankfully, it ended up missing the villagers, but you can imagine their shock when this happened. Smartly, they alerted the authorities, who at first went on a high alert because they were sure this was part of some spyware. But turns out, it was debris from a Chinese rocket that had breached Indian airspace earlier. But many are wondering if that's really the case. Red rain. When the sky rains down in scarlet, it's safe to assume you're heading for the apocalypse.
Agreed. Anything raining down the color of blood, I agree. I'm thinking it's the apocalypse. It's over. And now I'm trying to figure out, what does this mean for me? Am I going to a good place or a bad place? And if it's raining blood, I don't think that's good.
It happened a couple of years ago in Russia, and like any normal person, locals were so terrified they refused to step out of their homes. They wondered if this was a sign of doom, some sort of hint that the world was coming down. But as investigators stepped outside, they realized this wasn't Mother Nature's wrath or anything like that. This actually happened after rust was scraped off factories' roofs and floors, sweeping high until it finally came down. Whew, even I was freaked out for a second. Open discussion. On the 15th of February 2013, residents of Chelyabinsk were forced to take shelter after a giant meteor crashed into the city. Its impact rocked the city with shockwaves. And since not everybody knew what was going on, they were left wondering if this was it. Captured by numerous cameras, the meteor was seen streaking half the city until eventually breaking off mid-air, with most of it crashing near Lake Chebarkul. For a couple of days after the incident, locals found parts of the meteor strewn all over the city. The meteor even left a giant crater, burning because of the energy. How intense!